let's talk about our energy news. Remember, you can get in touch all the time. So we've got our @EnergyLiveNews on Twitter. We have got the hashtag you can use, which is shortfuse, and you can email us. You can email us using fuse@EnergyLiveNews. It's all here on the bottom of the screen. You can see it all there. Get involved during the show. Send us any messages. Georgie Boy here, who's a silent partner, will shout things out and let me know when things are happening. Right, okay, let's get on with the story of the week for me, which was starting off with the network operator restoring power after Storm Eileen. Now, it's been a funny old week for the weather. We've had ups and downs. If you've been in the north, obviously Storm Eileen really affected you. I know that there were thousands of homes without electricity, particularly in the whole sort of northwest. They lost their power. But when it comes to here in London, we were pretty cool. We didn't really have any issues. But what it does show you, and something that I think is brilliant, is just how hard the people who actually fix our power lines work. These are the unsung guys and girls, the engineers who go out in all kinds of weather and they do the thing that we all need, give us power to keep us going. And we've actually got an award from this year. So later on in the year, we'll be launching something called ELPA, the Energy Life Personality of the Year Awards. I'll tell you more about that in coming shows. But we've got something called 24/7 Legend, which is just for those people. But if you are one of those people who did something or you work for any of those companies that were affected by Storm Eileen, well done for keeping the power on. All right, let's talk about the story of the week. Now, the story of the week for me this week was all about renewable energy. Well, it was this story here. Dong got the chance to go ahead and build the world's largest offshore wind farm at Hornsea 2. Now, that will power 1.3 million homes. That's massive. It is the biggest in the world, and it came in the latest CFD. CFD, contracts for difference. So these are the kind of contracts that go out to help us as we move towards renewable energy. So the way it works, hopefully people in the industry will understand, something called a strike price, which is a guaranteed price you'll get for the energy you generate. And that's what any big company wants before they go off and they do their kind of, investing in stuff. So what they've got for this ride is £58 per megawatt hour. Now that sounds pretty good. Okay, think about you look at what's happened with Hinkley. It's around about 60 something. So 58 sounds pretty good, on par. But just compare this. When the first part of Hornsea 1, got the go-ahead 2 years ago, its strike price was a whopping £140. So from 60, 140 to 60. Why the drop? Well, I'll tell you what this shows. Two things for me. One, it shows that we are still committed towards going green. Okay, so a lot of people thought after the coalition disappeared, after all the sort of chaos we've had over the last 18 months with the May government and in and out, blah, 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 there was this kind of return to sort of gas and fracking and stuff. I don't think so. I think what the government's done here is said, look, we know that this is important, but we also know, you and me, we don't want to pay for it. Yeah, we don't want to pay that much for it. So, and all the research shows that. People are very keen to go green, but they don't really want to pay for it. So what the government's done here, I think, is strike a balance, using the word strike price in the context, because they've said, look, we want to do it, but you're going to have to face that you're going to get less money than you did before, but you still get that guarantee. And that's the absolute key to all of this. If we do transition, as we're starting to do, into green energy, we need to pay for it. Who pays for it? Well, it's the people who build it. Why should they build it? Unless they can guarantee some pricing. So I can see why strike price has gone down, but I can also see why Dong went ahead with this, because it's a pretty damn good rate. So for me, I think that's quite important. Right, a couple of other stories that caught my eye this week. Well, you've probably used it anywhere around the country. Uber. Now, Uber is adding a green fee. Yes, a green surcharge of 35 pence if you're in London. Now, I don't know. I use Uber. Sounds all right to me. I think most of them seem to be Priuses anyway. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to switch their fleet to hybrids or EVs by 2019. So they've launched this £150 million clean air fund. And the idea is that we all pay this extra little bit of money, and once we've paid the extra bit of money, you get a nice Uber, a green Uber coming up. I think it's not a bad idea, actually. 35p is not too bad. We can all accept that. It's, you know, it's half what you'd pay for a packet of chewing gum. The guys and girls who drive you in the Ubers are doing a great job. And if we can help them move to, you know, going to electric or hybrids, well, what's wrong with that? I think there's nothing wrong with that at all. And the final story that I think really changes the way we are moving is this one. And this one is all about Drax. Now, Drax is pretty much completely going green. What is Drax? You may have heard of the name, but Drax is up in the north. It's near sort of Doncaster, and it is, well, it was the biggest coal powered station that we've had in the country. And it's been changing. So it's been changing over the last couple of years, moving into biomass. So as it's moved into biomass, what's happened is it's changed some of its coal firing infrastructure into firing biomass, and that's been going over the last sort of 5-6 years. Now what they're saying is we're going to get rid of coal altogether. The last two are going to close down. They're going to build a gas fired one, and they're also going to invest in battery storage, battery technology. They want, though, some sort of guarantee, just like the Dong story, about an investment signal, so they know that they're going to do this. And of course, we are going to have no coal in this country at 2025. That's the government's decision. So you can see why this is happening. I think the most important thing, though, is that what this shows is there is still, although there's uncertainty about Brexit and all of that stuff, there's a decision being made in the positions of power in these companies to say, you know what, we are going to commit to this and we'll invest in it. And the government has got to back it up. So I think it's a good one and it's quite interesting. We'll be doing more about stories later on because I'll be getting one of my reporters out. But first, let's move on to the topic I promoted last week. This is Viewpoint. So, last week I said that I was fed up with people being sort of green Nazis. That's a very strong term. And do tweet in if you disagree with this, what I'm going to say. But I'll tell you why this came about. We have always had the simple thing of believing in editorial neutrality. So if you look at some of the stories we've put up in the past, right? We've put up stories here which show about climate change, right? All the stories put up. So UK urges private sector to help curb climate change. Here's one about the UK and France, right? Helping to tackle climate change from space. All very good. All fine. Okay. People don't have any issues with that. They all agree with that sort of stuff. But it's funny, whenever we run a story where we show the other side of it, take this story here. Global warming not caused by humans, says robotic program, an AI program that did a sort of study and looked at it. Or the story we did about the Greenpeace co-founder who said that he doesn't believe that CO2 causes global warming. Now, every time we publish those sort of stories, I'll tell you what happens. I and my reporters get loads of crap. We get abused by saying, why are you putting this view out? Why are you talking about these people? They're all complete lunatics. They're all doomsayers. And why the hell are you putting this junk science? Well, I don't think that's the case. I think if I'm a journalist, it's my job, and what we've done from the beginning at Energy Live News is to be absolutely down the middle, right? And the truth is, yes, there's a consensus on climate change, but there's no smoking gun. You can't actually say this is exactly what's causing that. We all think so, and we can monitor it, but the climate is a moving thing. It's an object that's got incredible kind of, versatility, many factors to it. But putting that aside, there isn't this consensus that every single person believes in it. So why should I not run stories about people who say something different? Now, that doesn't mean that we're kind of condoning their view. We're just saying, have a look at it, make it up. But every time we run this story, either me, Pri or Johnny, we get loads of crap about it. And I don't get that. I'm wondering why. Why is it that no one wants to hear the other side of the story? So I did a bit of research and I looked at this stuff, and a couple of stories caught my eye. The first one is from the New York Times. Now, the New York Times one was really interesting. These are stories that look at, these are articles about the way that there's an attitudinal bias towards this. You've got to believe in it. So this first story from the New York Times, it talked about what goes on, and very interesting, did a survey of US scientists from the American Association of Science. Now, 65% of those scientists believe in climate change. Okay? In fact, more than that, actually. But, sorry, not nearly 80% of them believe in climate change, but 65% of them believe the way to protect ourselves is to invest in nuclear energy. Now, of course, most people who are green can't stand nuclear energy. They just think it's absolutely wrong. But here you go. You've got climate scientists saying, we believe in climate change, but we think part of the solution is nuclear. Second one that caught my eye was from the Cato blog. Now, this is quite an interesting article, which looked at what's been going on. Excuse me. And in this article, it says that often what happens, as scientists fall into this trap, and so do we, as reporters, we publish things that we think back our view. So what they found is that often scientists will look at data and they'll say, okay, this shows there's global warming. Fine. But they actually say it's going to be really bad. Right? Why? Because we think it's going to be really bad. So the data doesn't actually say it's going to be bad, but we're going to extrapolate forward and tell you it's going to be absolutely terrible. And so then when you model things around that, you're going to get 3, 4, 5 degree rises in climate change. Now, it's not the fault, but it's that classic thing, don't we? We always do the same thing. We always go to where we had some data and we just go, well, that must have been right. So we'll rejig it. And here in the media, we do it even more because we just go, well, let's look at the old story and we'll publish that. How often do we actually drill down and look at it? So that was interesting. And the final one was this really interesting one from Inside Source. Now, this one was about new Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. Now, it's really interesting. So this is all about what they call this kind of I suppose they call it acquired bias. Everyone assumes that because he's in the Trump administration, he's a complete psycho. Okay? He's a complete psycho who just doesn't, is denying climate change, etc., etc. And that's exactly how his stuff would be reported. But the actual thing is, when he made his first speech, he actually said that he believes it exists. But what he says is, we don't know, and he believes the effects will be bad, but he doesn't know how to predict them. Now, but that will be lost. Yeah, because the thing is, he's just seen as a complete climate loony. And that's what I think really annoys me about all this. So, if we're going to have a debate, the nature of a debate is there are two sides. Okay? It can't be that everyone says, yeah, it's all happening and it's just about how much or how little happens. You've got to have the other side. Now, you may disagree with that view. That's great. That's your right. That's what we want to encourage. But if you think that Energy Live News is going to stop publishing these stories, I'm sorry, we're not. Yeah, you can call me a climate loon yourself. I don't care. My view is very, very simple. If there are people out there who are showing things and looking at different things, why don't we tell that story? Then you make your mind up. So, you can disagree with us, you can keep sending us the emails, but I would say this, just take a second and think about it. Take a think about what you are looking at and whether you've actually looked at the other side of the story. Because if we're in the situation where literally we shout anyone down with a different view, whether it's, let's just even do climate change, whatever it is, right? Whether it's to do with, wind turbines, whether it's to do with nuclear, whether it's to do anything to do with energy or even other subjects, if you don't have the other side of the view, what is the point? So as far as I'm concerned, sorry guys, if you think, oh no, that's outrageous, why has ELN done it? We're going to continue to do it. Now, if you disagree with any of that or you've got a comment to make about what I've said, write to me, use Fuse, it's at the bottom of the screen, fuse@energylivenews.com. Also use the hashtag and get involved in the show. All right, that's enough of me going on. Now, one thing that we have to do, sadly, once in a while, I have to let my little news bunnies out of their cages. So here's our first ever hack hutch moment. Johnny, tell me what's been going on this week. So this little bit we're doing is about what you guys have been up to. So just before we talk about the stories you've done, what have you been out and about doing? Because you get out, don't you?
We do.
You don't just sit here, write press releases. Absolutely.
We go out and about all over the place. So this week, me and Rob, our new cameraman, we went to the Nuclear Symposium, where we heard, like you were saying, the nuclear industry could play an important role in decarbonisation, despite what the Greens may think, and also about how important public opinion is in supporting the nuclear industry. So the experts were telling us they need to debunk a lot of the myths about radioactivity, nuclear waste, and so on.
So the communication thing was quite interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really good. Basically, people they link nuclear energy with nuclear weapons,
of course,
or Chernobyl or something, where really it's actually one of the safest forms of generation.
Okay, that's not your view or my view. That's just putting it out there.
That's what they told us.
Okay, tell me the other things that struck you, because you did a really interesting film which I promoted last week at Borough Market, wasn't it?
Yeah, we went to Borough Market. You can check that out on our website, of course. And then we went down there to film the 3 new water fountains they put into place, and that's as part of a wider sustainability scheme, which is they're basically trying to reduce plastic use, single-use plastics, water bottles, and also make all packaging biodegradable.
So hang on, what's the idea then? You just basically get your water topped up for free?
So instead of walking to the shop and buying a bottle of Volvic or Evian, which you
or other brands,
or any other brands, instead you would walk to Borough Market with your refillable bottle, or you can buy one there, and you would just refill water from the fountain.
And who's paying for that water?
Borough Market itself are paying for the fountains and the water. So.
Oh, not bad, not bad. And then another one. Well, water has a slight link to this one. But it's something that's quite nasty lurking in the East End, and I'm not talking about Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, it's a slightly crappier story this time. There's in Whitechapel,
so bad. Yes,
one of the biggest ever fatbergs has been discovered.
Right.
A fatberg, for those of you who don't know and aren't having dinner right now, it's basically a collection of solidified fats, condoms, and other things you shouldn't flush down the toilet.
Yeah, George is going, wow, that's normally his whole night out, isn't it? Fats, condoms, and other things.
Yeah.
And then they solidify.
Wipes. Yeah, they solidify, clog the sewers.
We have actually filmed that stuff before. How big is this one then?
This one's longer than Tower Bridge, and it weighs more than 11 double-decker buses, so it's a pretty meaty blockage.
That is well heavy. Okay, anything else? What's your plans for next week? Got anything going on?
We're going to explore London, see all the energy news. And
he hasn't a clue. Until I tell him, this is what he's doing. What have you got?
We're having a bike ride, aren't we?
Yeah, we're having a bike ride. We'll do that later. Okay, and stories. If anyone wants to get in touch with you.
Yeah, please email us at stories@energylifenews.com, and that will come through to me and Priyanka, our chief reporter, and you can speak to us and we'll follow up what you have to say.
Excellent, Johnny. Right, go and do your job.
Thank you.
Right, that's Johnny done. Okay, well, look, I don't know has anyone got in touch yet? We had anything? We had any abuse? Oh, Kevin Corcoran's watching. Well, that says it all. Anyone else?
Yeah, there's loads of people watching. But
okay. Okay, we'll name him. And a big shout out this week to Freddie, because Freddie, little Freddie, he was really upset we didn't give him a shout out last week. So shout out to Freddie, because he's been like working his socks off, networking this week. He's been doing a lot of networking, haven't you, Freddie? So well done to Freddie. He's been out and about, literally. Now, so well said, George. Bike ride. Let's talk about the bike ride. This is very important. So we have got our bike ride next week, which is at the Redbridge Cycle Centre. You can see us. That was actually before we did the ride. No. Now, in all seriousness, we are trying to do 3,000 kilometres, which is mad, from London to Cyprus. If you've got a bike, bring one down. If you want to come and join us, you can hire a bike there. We'll give you lunch. It's all for a good cause, which is obviously my cause. And no, it's not literally for me, but it's for people who have rheumatoid arthritis like I have. So please come on down, get involved. We've got our donation page on Virgin Giving. Just go to our website, have a look at events, and you'll see the power ride. But next Thursday, if you're in the sort of Hainault, sort of East London area, if you can get to it, there's free parking, there's food, and all of us are going to do loads of laps, even Alex. Anyway, right. And finally, our expo. If you're an energy end user, register now. Okay, we've already had 250 of you registered, and we've got only another 250 spaces. The expo is taking place on the 2nd of November at the QE2 Centre. We have plenty lined up for you. We've got the Chief Economist of EY. We're hoping to have the Secretary of State. We're also hoping to have the head of the World Energy Council. We've got lots and lots of content for you this year. We've also got some crazy things planned, including a rendition of Blind Date that you don't want to miss. Well, that's about it. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Keep sending us anything you like, compliments, abuse, anything. George will filter it. Well, that's about all he can do. We're going to keep doing this show. We're going to keep going on and on about how cool energy is. So wherever you are in the world, if you're interested in energy, get in touch. If you've got something you'd like to feature on Short Fuse, then get in touch, because maybe there'll be a product we can try out or something like that. We'll have a laugh with that. We'll be looking at various topics next week, but we may also be doing our show live from the bike ride. We'll see how it goes. So we'll either see you on Thursday, or we'll definitely see you next Friday. Tune in. Hope you have a good weekend, and keep it going.